everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Blue Sedition podcast. I'm Nate Brady alongside my co-host.
I'm Mike Smith, everybody. Welcome back.
Hey,
Great to be here.
how was your break, Mike? Did we break?
I
Was there-
broke. Yes. Yeah. Breaking was involved. I was good, had an easy one, laid low, ate bad food. Well, I mean, unhealthy food. Watched some hand egg. It was great.
You watched some hand egg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I have to. And now, of course, as soon as we start the podcast, right? I got pornographic filth coming into my Discord server. I know it's just how it always happens. You try to start something, and then speaking of pornographic filth and Super Bowl, this is a really good segue. Okay, that wasn't a setup. This was actually a real segue. There was apparently a pornographic halftime show. Do you know anything about this?
Are they talking about like the Janet Jackson thing, like the wardrobe malfunction, or what are we talking about?
No, I'm talking about the Kid Rock halftime show. Yeah.
Did he expose himself to underage kids again, or?
I don't know. I didn't actually watch it because that's horrifying. Yeah, I don't know anybody personally that watched the Toilet Paper USA halftime show. Do you?
Can't say that I do. I only remember one song from Kid Rock. Has he made more songs, or is he just playing that over and over again?
From what I heard, I think it was just that one song on repeat. Andy was lip syncing to it, and he forgot the words to his own song.
That's just beautiful.
So yeah, so I guess there was a little bit of that. But no, I wanted to talk about the halftime show and the response to the halftime show from Bad Bunny. Now, like 250 million Americans or so, I didn't understand a word.
I didn't either.
I didn't understand a word of the halftime show, and still somehow I thought it was both visually impressive and moving. You
You
know,
did.
I did. I
I think
did.
I fall into the other camp. I think I fall in, not the other camp. I fall into a camp of it was a fine halftime show. It was fine.
I was I was moved by it.
I'm not aware of like any of his music or anything, so I was just like, he performed it. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were some scenes that were pretty powerful. I mean, climbing up on the electrical poles as like a nod to the power issues that Puerto Rico is struggling with.
Right.
Thanks the United States. I think that was powerful. A lot of people thought that the moment where he was handing the Grammy to that young kid was a reference to Liam in Minneapolis, but it was not. It was like a reference to his younger self, and he had some strong messages in there, like hey, just a few years ago, if I stopped believing in myself, I wouldn't be at the Super Bowl halftime show. Never give up on your dreams. Believe in
Yeah,
yourself.
sure.
Together we are America. God bless America. All things
Right.
you would think that conservative patriots it would be a message that would really resonate with them. But for some reason,
Mhm.
I guess it didn't. Who knows? And so now, instead of everybody just agreeing, okay, whether you liked it or you didn't like it, that we have calls from Republican lawmakers asking the FCC and Brendan Carr to step in because it was disgusting and it was pornographic filth and it was just.
It's really rather telling that they're not even doing dog whistles anymore. They're just like, we want to make it illegal to be a brown person and have any success. Like I think that's what it boils down to, because anybody watching the halftime show could see that there's probably the least quote pornographic thing that has been on football for a long time.
I mean, of all the halftime shows, including the one Bad Bunny, and a lot of people don't know, Bad Bunny was actually in an NFL halftime show before.
Was he?
Yeah, he performed with Shakira. He came out and did a whole
Oh,
song with her.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that was if if you want to call any halftime shows pornographic, I mean that was certainly more provocative
Yeah.
than his was. I mean, for God's sakes, he had a heterosexual wedding live, like live on the
Yeah.
field. I mean, what more do these people want? You
Yeah, I don't
know?
know. He was playing to a lot of their strengths, the thing, like you said, the things that they parrot and champion the most. So it's hypocritical at the very least.
I think AOC had a great response. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was
I didn't
today.
see any response from AOC.
She 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 was in the halls of Congress, and a reporter asked her, what do you think about millions of Americans not being able to understand Trump saying millions of Americans couldn't understand what he was saying, and she said, I can't understand what Trump is saying half the time. So you know that's
Good
a great
answer. It's a good
response.
answer. Why do
So
you have that? That was the thing that I didn't understand. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, but like I said, it was fine. It was enjoyable. It doesn't bother me that he was speaking Spanish. Would I have
to,
enjoyed it better if it was in English? Probably not.
I mean, I looked up the lyrics. I was like, okay, what's this song? The first song was like, and excuse me, guys, okay, I'm not a Spanish speaker. I don't have it up in front of me. It was Titi mi pregunta. I don't know. I'm gonna get roasted if that's wrong.
Just give me the sentiment. What's it
But
about?
it was about like his aunt, I think, asking him, when are you gonna settle down? You got so many girlfriends, but you're never gonna,
Oh,
when are you gonna get it?
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, really? Like this is what's got conservatives like all fired up? I mean, give me a break. And then of course, just post a couple of Kid Rock lyrics if you really, you know, okay, come on. I mean, there's the lyric that's floating around the most right now is the one where he talks about uh wanting to be with underage girls, and it's not statutory, it's mandatory. I mean, that's a literal lyric from a Kid Rock song. So that just shows you that
I'm
it's just nonsense.
yeah, I'm really starting to see, I mean, we all are, I think, just how prevalent that sentiment is with the Republican Party or the elected officials in the Republican Party. So it's not surprising that they don't find that, you know, alerting or alarming,
Yeah. And
but
and
they find somebody speaking Spanish, a slap in the face of the American who, what are you talking about?
right.
Also, it's a football game. Like you don't it's there's nothing sacred about it. You know what I mean? Like it's a football. Get over it.
Get over it.
There will be a new person in it next year. Like I don't.
Exactly. It's a literal 15-minute. And they're like, well, it should be an entertainer that speaks to all American, blah, blah, blah. Listen, Bad Bunny was the most downloaded artist on Spotify last year, in the
Was he
United States.
really?
He was the
Oh, I didn't
most,
know that. No,
most,
there's so much about him that I just don't understand. I haven't
yeah,
doing any digging. You're my facts guy. You go do the digging for me, and you bring these things up to me, and it just blows my mind. I'm like,
yeah.
wow. I mean, good for him. Great
So
job.
you're the most downloaded artist on Spotify. It sounds like that's the artist that you're going to want the NFL halftime show. I mean, I remember a time when the NFL halftime show was a performer you thought was dead. I mean, one year they had the Who, and I was like, are there any living members of the Who? You know?
Didn't they actually have a dead person perform once? Like they had a hologram of Tupac one year, didn't they?
Was it Tupac?
I think it was. I mean, the football better than I do, but
Well, no, but I don't remember halftime shows. Very, very few halftime shows I
that's
remember.
what I'm gonna say. Is that nobody's gonna remember this next year except for
Well, they
Bad Bunny.
will because of the outrage, right? Like otherwise, this would have just
Yeah,
gone and nobody would have remembered this. But now I'm going to remember Bad Bunny's halftime show for the rest of my life because of these idiots,
yeah,
you know?
you're right. Because I remember Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, like I mentioned before, like that. I'm never gonna be able to forget that. It's just gonna be one of those factoids stuck in my head when I'm in 90 years old and my kid's like, "We need to get you back to bed,
And I remember the Who because I was like, why? And then the only other one I remember I think is the U2 one because they did because I used to be a really big U2 fan, and they did a pretty moving tribute to 9/11 because it was the Super Bowl following 9/11,
Oh,
and
okay.
like they put all the names on the screen, and they did a really moving rendition of Where the Streets Have No Name. So I mean, but other than that, generally forgettable to me. I mean, even I forgot who last time was, and then somebody reminded me it was Kendrick Lamar, and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
I remembered that. I thought that was a good one because he and Drake were having that spat at the time, and I thought that he did a very good job throwing shade at him.
Yeah, and a ton of people enjoyed that halftime show. I wasn't familiar with his music, just like I wasn't familiar with Bad Bunny's music. Both of these halftime shows, other than I thought this one was really colorful. I thought it was great. The bushes and the sugar cane were like
Yeah, yeah.
like that
No,
was
I
really
liked it like as a stage production. Like it was well choreographed and it had like movements, like you said. They had different sections that flowed nicely, and I was like, it's a fine show. What's the
yeah.
problem?
I thought it was a great show.
Wait. Was the problem that at some point in one of his songs he yelled "Death to America"?
No, he said
Oh,
God bless America.
I heard that wrong.
Yeah, but
Okay,
I think the
then I don't
problem
know what it is.
he was talking about the Americas, and he
Mm-hmm.
named off every single country, including Canada. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think that some people in the United States don't even know that there were other countries in America. So I think they were like confused. You know.
yeah. I mean, I think he just well, I thought it was a good job. And he got a lot of flack beforehand. I remember there's a lot of the crazies yelling about him. They're like, we want an American in the halftime show. I'm like, he's Puerto Rican. What are you talking about? He's American.
And
What are
so
we doing?
I don't know if you know that I don't have it up and ready, and I wish I had some of it up and ready. And now I'm forgetting his name because who cares about him?
Yeah,
Uh, Jake Paul. Jake Paul had a series of tweets that he was like, basically that sentiment. And
yeah.
then again, AOC shows up and is like, are you stupid or something?
You stupid.
And then Jake Paul used the classic. I don't know what happened. I think my account
Yeah, I
was
got hacked. I did see that. That was very funny. I'm like, oh, well, he has apparently some humility because he obviously felt like he had to, take that back in.
well, no, but the funniest part about it was AOC's response to him was, "Aren't you the guy that moved to Puerto Rico to avoid paying taxes in the United States?" And then Jake Paul was like, "Delete shit."
That's
So
pretty good.
AOC, man,
She's sharp as a whip, and she's got a good team under her. Her staff
uh,
like keeps her, responding to the correct people.
yeah, she's very witty. I think she has what it takes. Can we talk? Can
She's
we
she's
Can we
got the
talk
stuff.
for a second? I think she's got the stuff. Right now, the top three contenders for
Guys
2020
on
from the Democratic side, you're shaking your head. But
He's on
listen,
Polymarket again, everybody. Look out.
no. This isn't from Polymarket, although I did see on Polymarket, I don't know. Okay, now you're gonna make me look it up. What who they say
You're
the
my
top.
facts guy. I need you to get the facts.
Oh yeah, no, I think they're wrong. Um, I they got the first two right. I think it's going to come down to Gavin Newsom and AOC, assuming like some superstar doesn't like emerge like a Bernie Sanders, where we were like, we didn't even know who this guy was
Yeah.
to national, fame. I think it's going to come down to Newsom and AOC, and you know, I want to talk for a second. I don't know. We talked about Texas, I think, last week, but I don't think we talked about New Jersey 11, um, which the special election in New Jersey, and you even looked a little confused. So,
I think we did. But go on, go ahead.
okay, well, maybe we. No, you're right. Okay, maybe we did. Okay, maybe we did. So I just want to point out that I think it's progressives' moment right now because
It definitely is.
I think people are looking at the Chuck Schumers and the Jeffries and going, we're not listening to this bullshit that your district is purple and you got to speak to what. No, we don't care anymore. You should shut up with this nonsense. We either you're a Democrat, you're on the left, or you're not. You're against
Okay,
us.
I looked it up because I had to be certain. It was
Okay.
still undecided, too close to call when we did the podcast last. So we'll update everybody. In New Jersey 11, Tom Malinowski has conceded to, oh God, Anna Lilia Bahia. I'm doing my best, folks. I'm really
Yeah,
sorry if I messed that up.
yeah, okay. At least you're trying. But she was the progressive AOC Bernie backed candidate,
Yeah,
uh, who was. You want to talk about Poly Market and Kalshi and all of those places? She was like a huge underdog. I think at one point he was a 90% favorite. You know, and then just things completely flipped.
yeah,
What's really interesting about that race is that um, APAC spent a ton of money just blasting Malinowski, even though he is a pro-Israel candidate, he just wasn't pro-Israel enough for them, and it ended up backfiring wildly on them. But of course, they're going to spend a ton of money in the.
yeah. This was just the primary, so that goes to a general in the special. But I mean, like you said, that's pretty much the game because New Jersey 11 is pretty solidly blue. So winning that primary means you pretty much locked up the seat itself.
And I think that seat was that seat. I think that was a governor's, like that was the governor's seat. So yeah, I think it's locked up. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on anything ever. I don't want to be quoted. Okay, I think. Well, speaking of governors, let's just move in.
Now we got to talk about governors.
We got to talk about governors. I'm gonna
Who's
let you,
governors?
I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one. Democratic governors blast Trump's call to nationalize elections. There's other things going on with Democratic governors. Talk about this a little bit.
Oh man. So I'm going to let you get the other one that I know that you really want. But basically, every Democrat elected governor out there is basically sending up the smoke signals and declaring a need for help, with Trump saying that we need to nationalize elections. I mean, it's pretty obvious what the plan is going to be. You and I have talked about this obviously quite a bit, Nate. But the plan is put ICE into very heavily blue cities and districts in swing states like Minnesota, like you're seeing there, and just completely disrupt voting in the midterms. So if you're a brown person or a black person in line, they're going to ask you for your papers, and then they're going to arrest you when you don't have the right amount, and then you're not going to be able to vote that day. It's why they're fighting so hard against mail-in voting. It's because they want you to be too scared to go to the polls, and if you do go to the polls, is Gestapo is going to arrest you.
I the
I
thought of
mean, it's completely it's written on the walls. It couldn't be more like plain on its
okay,
face that that's the
so
game.
the only thing that gives me, I'm certainly worried about that, and I think that it's going to happen in some key areas. The only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that in all of these special elections, including the one in Texas where the Dem just blew it out, you didn't see them testing the waters. You know,
Well, they're doing it in places where ICE hasn't really been deployed. The first one we're going to have to see is an actual like election being held in, say, Minnesota. You
yeah.
know what I mean? You put in Minneapolis where it's deeply blue and it offsets a lot of the rural voting in that very large state otherwise. And it's been a purple state, you
Well,
know?
I'll tell you what, it certainly won't matter in Minnesota. That state is dark blue, and it's going to be even darker blue after what's going on here.
Certainly now, yeah. But not if you don't let people vote who
Yeah,
vote
well, I
the
imagine
wrong color.
that the legal observers and people protecting the voting lines will outnumber by a very, very large amount any ICE employee or ICE agents that attempt to
I
disrupt it.
I don't think that matters. I think that they're just going to claim agitation, start firing off tear gas canisters at any pushback. I don't
And
care if they're 100,000 polling station, and they'll just declare well, you could have voted elsewhere, or you should have voted earlier, or meanwhile, all the rural and red districts in the state are going to just vote just fine. They'll be casting their votes just great, and it'll be a landslide red victory because of an election, national emergency, or in this case, a statewide emergency.
Yeah, I don't.
ICE will be in the street in their tanks, and they'll have guns and shooting tear gas, and people are just in line trying to vote.
So, like I said, I'm certainly worried about it, and I think people are going to organize, and I think it's going to be the biggest midterm turnout in history. I think it's going to shatter records. So I don't think any of their attempts to get people to stay home is going to work. But I do believe, like you, that there's going to be
It's going to be chaos, even if it's not. I hope I'm wrong, and it's not as chaotic as I'm describing. But I'm willing to bet that in the first couple hours of daylight on voter day, there are going to be arrests and people claiming that they're just pulling people out of line, and I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it's going to be something. I mean, we're still a while away. The stress of it all is killing me. I hate election years like this. I hate
Only
election.
8 months left.
Yeah. Only like the same amount of
Stay
time
tuned, folks. Stay
that we've
tuned.
already gone through. I mean, who knows? Anything can happen between now and then.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll see. So the right is certainly trying to do all their other distractions with the Super Bowl and all this other nonsense, to take away from the Epstein files.
Oh, we'll get to the Epstein files. I want you to talk about that other governors thing.
So the NGA, which is the National Governors Association, has a traditional yearly meeting with the president. All 55 governors, that's from states to territories, end up meeting the White House, meeting the president at the White House. And then they have a special dinner. Trump.
And they usually it's usually apolitical. It is meant to be
It's meant to be
gathering the leaders, bipartisan, and
we are the United States of America. What can we do to work together? A federal state collaboration kind of thing.
yeah,
So Trump, in his just infinite stupidity,
big brainedness.
yeah, told somebody, or made it known that he wasn't going to invite Democratic governors. And now the head of the NGA, or maybe he's the vice chair of the NGA, is a Democratic governor. That was specifically, I think it's Wes Moore. That was Trump called out specifically that he's not going to invite. Well, then the NGA scrapped its meeting. It said, well, then the meeting's not happening. And even Republican governors agreed with this move. Like this just doesn't make any sense. So I think we're starting to see a pushback from center right Republicans who aren't completely all in MAGA crazies, that see the writing on the wall, but they're keeping one foot over the line. You know what I mean? They're keeping their one foot poised just in case Trump pulls it off in the midterms and everything's fine for Republicans and they control the House and the Senate and they can move forward with their insidious agenda. But I think right now, a lot of Republicans are seeing my political career is over if I align with this administration and the reckoning comes in the midterms.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think that people are on the right, elected officials on the right, are lukewarm at best. And in some cases, I mean, we've already seen it, right? Some of them are retiring early. Some of them are announcing they're not going to run again because they're just like,
some major incumbents have
yeah,
announced they're not going to seek reelection.
right. Didn't Marjorie Taylor Greene say she wasn't going to run again?
She's already
She,
out.
she already resigned. Like, I mean, like these are the diehards in the party, and they're saying basically, well, what they're saying is I can make a lot more money elsewhere. But also, there's no winning supporting this. There's no end game. There's no, because what is his end game? He's in a lame duck session at this point, and if he gets trounced at the midterms, then he's never going to get anything done.
Right. I mean, however, we've seen that Republicans, specifically under Donald Trump, are a lot better at getting things done without
Boy, they
Congress.
whip votes, don't they?
Well, I mean, forget whipping votes. They don't really need to whip votes, right? Like, because Trump is just doing everything everything he wants without congressional approval, right? So just the other day, they blew another boat out of the water, off the coast. That he does whatever he wants, and we're seeing more now than ever that there is no accountability, and we're trying to break through. And now we have, I think Massey is a great Massey and Rokana working together on the Epstein Files Transparency Act. I think that's a good sign of hopefully some bipartisan accountability. But it's very difficult to get people who are so entrenched in the system to hold that same system that elected them and brought them to power accountable. It's very very hard to do. So we need a midterm of political outsiders who aren't beholden to corporate money and super PACs, etc., like Abogazale, who we always talk about, and the AOC types, to be able to get into Congress and not care what APAC says their vote should be. Get on committees and start with the subpoenas and getting people in front of Congress and start holding people accountable.
I really think that I completely agree with everything you just said. I think that what we need political accountability or governance accountability at the very least, because there are so many glaring issues that everyone can see, and on both sides. We're hearing about the right championing for the last I don't know 10 years about the weaponization of the DOJ, and then they turn around and are doing exactly what they were complaining about, and they're not able to make any of their cases stick. But I mean, like, there has to be some accountability for that, and just the lawlessness with which the Trump administration wields their power. So I'm thinking specifically of like January 6 rioters who have been entirely pardoned of their crimes. It gives a sense to the right of, you can commit crimes because the president will pardon you. There is no accountability. And in fact, you are going to be rewarded for that.
Right.
Some of those January 6 rioters are actually working in the Trump administration at the national level.
Right.
And you're like, where is the accountability?
So to that point, you and I were talking this morning about Pam Bondi getting roasted.
Sure is.
And one of the questions posed to her was, "Hey, isn't this dude pictured here that was yelling, 'Kill them all' at police officers? Doesn't he now work for you at the DOJ?" And her response was, "Well, he was pardoned."
The president pardoned him, and you're like,
yeah.
So you're okay with that?
Yeah. And so
you're okay with this guy who suggested we kill all of the police officers?
Right.
Your stance on law enforcement is, you're just big on that? Or
we are seeing now more than ever that the elite or our country is run by an elite class of criminals. It's just, I mean, sorry, Democrats and Republicans. First of all, to me, if you're taking corporate and lobby and super PAC money to vote a specific way instead of the way that your constituents want you to vote, that to me is a bribe. That to me it should be illegal. I mean, we already know we want money out of politics. I think that's the one of the first things you got to do is get this corporate money and this super PAC money, this dark money, out of Congress, because that is what's hindering progress, right? Because now,
I mean, at the very least, it needs to be more transparent than it currently is. You have super PACs that are funded by God knows who, pushing agendas that aren't necessarily aligned with their constituents,
They're never aligned with their
and
constituents.
nobody has to answer to anybody about it because nobody's doing town halls, nobody's taking calls from their constituency. The staffers don't pick up the phone anymore. You just have to leave a message. No one's going to read it or listen to it or read it, I suppose. And they don't care because they don't represent you.
Right.
They
Exactly.
represent corporations that pay them the most.
It's the there is no war but class war. I mean, I think I will I stand by that. I know that's for some reason a controversial thing to say, but it's true. I mean, this is their game plan. The only reason why Facebook comments are filled with people being upset about Bad Bunny is because the corporate media told them they need to be upset about Bad Bunny, and they got us fighting with each other over whether the Bad Bunny we spent literally
right. A culture war is better for business than a class war.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Better for their business than a class war. Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess we're gonna keep doing these smooth transitions. But speaking of this elite Epstein class, right?
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell had her deposition in front of this closed door deposition in front of the House Oversight Committee just a couple days ago. Okay. Now everybody knows she's serving I don't know, 20 plus year sentence when she was convicted in 2021 on sex trafficking charges. I'm a believer in the Constitution. I think that I am. Hear me out. Even the Second Amendment to its even though I don't believe in the Republicans' version of its interpretation, I think that the Fifth Amendment is extremely important. She, however, invoked her Fifth Amendment right for every single which is her right to do for every single question asked, which to me is fine. You go back to jail with you, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, you've been convicted. You're serving your sentence. It's not a problem. They're trying to ascertain some more information. They're trying to connect some dots, and you don't have to self-incriminate. That's a right that you have in this country.
Now
she gets to do the Chappelle bit the whole time.
Yeah. So I have mixed feelings on this because I think Ghislaine Maxwell should rot in prison until the day that she dies. Okay, that's how I feel. However, the fact that we had an elite pedophile ring, run by powerful men, okay, and the only person in jail right now for it is a woman, is mind blowing. Like, it's insane. It's literally insane. Okay.
Well, she did herself no favors, which
no. I'm not saying she doesn't belong there.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm saying she didn't. I'm saying, okay, if I'm Ms. Maxwell, I would work with the DA to try and reduce my sentence with some guarantees of safety.
This is so I was.
Now I'm going to work with the federal DA.
No, I was burying the lead on purpose. Okay, so she spent her entire time saying that she pleads the fifth, and then in the same appearance, okay, in the very same, her lawyer said that she is prepared to speak fully and honestly if she is granted clemency by President Donald Trump.
That's just asking. That's a bribe in plain sight.
It's literally, that's what she said. She said, I will
tell them that you were never there if you grant me clemency. Like, that's the loudest.
No, wait. Not only is it assumed that, he said both Trump and Bill Clinton will be innocent of any wrongdoing in relationship to Epstein if Maxwell is given clemency by Donald Trump. It wasn't implied. He straight said it.
That's crazy.
We will exonerate Bill Clinton.
The names of Bill Clinton and Donald Trump.
So now he's speaking that she's so desperate. She's speaking to both sides and saying, hey, this elite class, Clinton and Epstein, and Trump, I will exonerate both of you if you give me clemency. I mean, what an
That's
insane time we live. What an insane time.
we do live in an insane time. And I looked it up because I was curious. She's currently age 64 and she was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment.
Yeah.
I don't know what her parole would look like, but let's just assume she does the full 20 because this is the kind of crime you would probably do the full. She'll be 84 by the time she gets out. That's the majority of her life.
So I
But
think
I wanted to talk about one other thing about the
okay.
Epstein files.
Okay. Please do.
Ghislaine Maxwell can't clear Donnie's name because we have so many bits of evidence of him being in it.
Well, sure. I mean,
I liked this one.
okay.
I mean, obviously the internet is scouring all of the publicly released, and there was another recent release. I think we were talking about it in the last episode of just millions of documents. One of the documents that came out was just it was a boring email. It didn't matter.
Are
It
you
was
linked?
asking about I have linked it to you, but I can do it. It didn't matter like the subject or anything. It was innocuous. It was about vacation or something. And one of the redactions was very starkly telling. It reads as such: I was going to take polo lessons in Calgary, but I redacted, think my body can handle it.
I know. This is the don't. This is the. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll put this
So
on
the
the.
people who are going through redacting things are looking for anything that looks like Don T, and they're redacting that. That's the only explanation I can actually give to this.
No,
Right?
it's not. There's sorry. There's no question that that's exactly what this is. I was going to take polo lessons in Calgary, but I redacted.
Blank
Think my
think.
body can handle it. I don't think my body can handle it.
And the only explanation for redacting that I could come up with is Don T. And they just have I mean, again, and they're the DOJ staffers have been complaining to the courts specifically that they just don't have the manpower to actually go through and redact these things in the timeliest fashion that the courts require. So you have to imagine they're just doing some simple search for term and redact like this, and you get these strays coming out where you're like, oh, so you're just redacting Don T, like blanket Don T gets redacted, and you didn't think that would look a little incriminating on its face. I mean, this does not implicate Donald Trump in any, wrongdoing. He's not even ancillarily related with this email here. But they went out of their way and redacted a Don T for no reason other than it's his name and initial. That's the only plausible explanation.
We are living in such unprecedented times. I Every single day is the biggest scandal a president has ever faced, and it's such an overload that
And it's performed by the most obviously incompetent people. Like, imagine the most incompetent person you've ever met, and somebody like them is running a piece of this administration.
I don't
It's
I truly do not know what to say. I mean,
right.
it is literally every single day. It
It's
is
amazing stuff.
the most asinine things you can imagine, and there is nothing that we can do about it. Instead, we've got politicians in Congress right now saying that Bad Bunny and the NFL need to be investigated because of that divisive pornographic halftime show. I mean, what world are we living in? Just I don't know what it's going to take to right this ship, other than you know,
No, I mean exactly what you're talking about. You need actual candidates running for seats in Congress with their sole mission being, I'm going to get there and I'm going to just start yelling about these things that need to be fixed before everything else. We don't need to handle the budget. The budget can wait. Let's fix these glaring systemic problems that need to be fixed right now. enact some laws that make this stuff like more overtly illegal and obvious, instead of being like the Supreme Court came up with an idea that even though that says this is the law, they actually didn't mean that that was the law. Like, just, okay, I have now changed the law. It now says what we meant.
Okay.
That's
So,
got to be the platform.
so I want to point out that, first of all, I think that Rokana and Massey are doing great work
Doing great. Yeah.
because they're pressuring the DOJ to unredact names that should not have been redacted. I think one of the biggest ones I want to see is the email. Who was the email that said your youngest, the youngest one or the littlest one was really naughty, right? Like,
Right.
I want that email unredacted. But I am torn on this, and I haven't seen anybody talking about this. Okay, the six men named that, so Massey or both said they were going to read the six men that were redacted that seemed to be connected. They were going to read those names in Congress, and that's fine. And some of those names were pretty big, right? There was one American billionaire, Leslie Wexner, who's the founder, I believe, of Victoria's Secret. And there were a couple of other names, but I think what's really telling to me is that it wasn't any political powerhouse in the United States that was named. And you know those people exist in those files, but they're still there. It's like they're like, okay, we have to satiate you guys, so here we're gonna give you something, right? And okay, fine. These six people need to be fully investigated and charged if they're found to be guilty of any crimes related to sex trafficking, statutory rape, etc. Right? But I still found it. I don't know what the right word is. It wasn't enough. It was nowhere near enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're doing their best. The problem is that this is a sort of needle in a haystack sort of situation, and obviously all of the communications that are between the parties of these emails are always going to be encoded in some fashion, right? Like we were talking about in the last episode about them talking about a pizza place and some other things, like just bringing up weirdly, seemingly coded messaging. And so it's hard to actually pin anything down. But I agree, you have emails, presumably names go with them. You should be able to just, force that into the public. I mean, you'll lose your chair spot, so that's why they're not doing it. But
Well, I think, one of the reasons why, of course, these six men were named was because there was one file or two files that in 2019 the FBI named them as co-conspirators, right? So this one's really important. So I get that, but I want additional names redacted. We were promised transparency, and then we got just like, here's a body of an email. That's not transparency, okay? Unless you know who that email is coming from, what the relationship with Epstein was, that's not transparency.
well, again, I hate to play the advocate because that side is so terrible, but there is some good faith argument to be made, and I think that that's the angle they're playing, that there are ancillary contacts with Jeffrey Epstein who weren't part of his thing, and
That's fine.
you don't want to turn them into a victim of a witch hunt that they don't have any connection to.
Look, it's very simple. There are some people that have been in the Epstein files that have been able to say exactly that. I That was one email, and I had nothing to do with law. Fine, then show me. If you unredact an email and it's hey Jeffrey, great to meet you. I'm not interested at this time, or I'm not, I'm not going to your island, or whatever.
Right.
That's a great reason to be in the Epstein files. But if it's your littlest one was really naughty, and a follow up question of did you torture her, and I want that fucking name.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, I get it. And I
So
agree.
so transparency means we get to see it all, and then we get to decide. Okay, and we're not a jury, right? Okay, so I don't give a shit if your public uh, um, appearance is besmirched because you were
Right.
in these files. Well, you shouldn't have had a relationship with this guy. And if there was nothing going on, then it won't be besmirched as much as you think. Okay. But if you're worried, if you're one of those people that are worried about your name being unredacted, well, there's a reason for it. Okay. So um, it's the Epstein Transparency Act. We need transparency.
Yeah,
That's
I agree.
you know,
I do know.
Mike. What else we got?
Do you remember, and we talked about this briefly, there were those Democratic lawmakers who basically ran an ad saying you should not follow orders if those orders are illegal.
Yes.
Just a real quick hit that came in just now. A grand jury has decided that they do not have enough cause to actually go
Right.
after them for anything. So tough for the DOJ, but they don't do well in court. It turns out they're not great at it. So that's a fun one. Just
And
pepper some.
yeah, there's a whole we can do a lightning round here. In Wisconsin, the state appeals court allows voters to cancel mistakenly marked absentee ballots and request a new one. So that's a win for voting rights. There was another one in let's see.
Want to talk voting rights?
Huh? Yo, you
Do you want to talk voting rights? We can talk
okay?
voting rights.
Let's talk voting rights.
The Supreme Court has announced that it was going to allow California's new congressional map to
Okay.
become.
Yes, this is a big one. This is a big one specifically for me as well. It changes my district significantly. I think it
Sure
alters
does.
your district as well. What it does for my district is it leaves out kind of a very wealthy area in Temecula, which I am not a part of. I'm a little bit farther north of that, and I am in an area that now is like Corona, from Corona through Lake Elsinore down to Marietta, and a little bit of the surrounding areas there. And my area has been red. Okay, I'm right near a military base. It's an affluent area. However, what I'm excited to see is there's more housing being built around me. We're seeing several areas of housing, which is getting approved by by the city, which I'm loving that. I'm seeing, awkwardly enough, I know this isn't, I hate to use social media, especially Facebook, as as a judge of which way the wind is blowing. But I was shocked to find that there was this Temecula Progressives Facebook page, which I am now a part of, which is tens of thousands of people who are setting up ICE protests and all of
Yeah.
these other things. And it truly does seem like the wind is changing a little bit in my area. So really big, both for California, we believe would pick up. What's the number? 5.
5 is what they're claiming. It's really interesting, and we'll include that in the show notes. There's an interactive map of the proposed district lines, and they do some very clever gerrymandering to distort where votes matter. And so they've done a really good job of basically compacting as many Republican votes into as few districts as possible. And so 5 is what they're expecting. There's a chance it could be 4. There's a chance it could be 6, because they basically had to take a coin flip on 2 of them.
So I am a fan of algorithmic drawing of
Right.
every. I don't think there should be any kind of gerrymandering,
Okay,
right?
I agree, and I want to make it clear to the listener that we don't actually support gerrymandering, but we have to fight on the same grounds as our opponents. We
Okay,
cannot
so
give way, and we complain about this a lot on the pod, but
right.
we can't give way to the lawlessness of one party by claiming the high road as the other, because you just lose.
This
You
is
can't play a different game and expect to win. So we need to play dirty, and then when we get control, we need to force it by saying, everybody, we need to use algorithms to define, proper districts that aren't gerrymandered and can be independently proven to be, not racially motivated, not whatever, politically motivated, and improve things. That's another easy win where you say, not just California, Texas, California, all the 50 states need to have this done.
I am. I totally agree. I hate that there is a slippery slope there somewhere, right? But I think that you cannot beat this lawless, like you said, this lawless group of politicians without playing dirty yourself.
Yeah.
And but then, okay, you have to go and and you have to actually fix it instead of using the broken system to keep you in power, right? So if I woke up magically, right, and I was president tomorrow, right, the first thing I would do would be to use that insane power, because every 4 years the president gets more power, even more than that. I would say
Yeah.
probably 2 years, gets more and more powerful, more executive power, right? I would use that power, I would hope, for good, to benefit the American people, but then use it to limit the power of the executive and bolster the checks and balances that were originally thought up, right, by the founders. So that I'd like to believe that's what I would do. In the same way, fighting the gerrymandering on the right, the obvious gerrymandering on the right, with your own gerrymandering until you get control of Congress, and then pass the law for algorithmic congressional map. The person who would win my favor is the one who would possibly lose their seat if they,
Right.
fight.
I'm in a gerrymandered district that should go away when this law passes.
Right, exactly. And like, okay, and then I'd have to move to a new district or whatever, and I could potentially lose my seat. That's the kind of politician I want to see. We're never going to see that. We are never going to see that. I just, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
You're
So
letting pessimism win today, Nate. I don't
it is
like it.
winning today. It is winning today a little bit. But I want to just go back to this. I want to say, because I've mentioned on the pod a couple times before now. This is probably the third time. I I am. I can't officially say it. I plan on running for Congress in my new district, which is California 40, um, assuming that it's not one of the ones that turn blue, and assuming that that blue isn't a secret red, right? Like
Right.
it's a progressive. It's somebody who's gonna get in there, and fight and get on committees and not take 140 days off and just enjoy their new cushy job and their health care and not fight for the American people, like my current representative Ken Calvert is doing, who's a Republican who doesn't give a crap about his constituents and is enjoying his paycheck. So I'm happy with the map. I would fight for algorithmic map drawing, in an unbiased committee to set up, to find that algorithm. And that's what I would do if I were an elected official.
Well,
And I
I
think that
agree.
I think that's what
I think most
people
people agree.
I think that's what people really want. So I follow this guy, and I'm upset that I don't remember his name, because he's such a really powerful speaker. I'll have to find him. I'll share him with you next I find him, because now he's in my algorithm. He's
Yeah.
he's a really powerful, deep voice. He's like this philosopher, but he has this way of tapping in to both the left and the rights. Like, he's a there ain't no war but class war kind of guy, and that really does speak when Republicans and Democrats, when you're not presenting them with something that has been so propagandized that their knee-jerk reaction is to fight each other over it, and you can kind of like get them together and listen, and they go, oh shit, this is right, and they start looking at each other and go, hey, this is right. That's those are the kind of people that I think are going to change the country. And I think like we always speak to Bernie Sanders about Bernie Sanders about this when he got into that Fox town hall and he could
Yeah.
just speak honestly to people and there was no like, what are you stupid? What are you, you know? He's like, just listen, hear me out, just hear me out for a second. Isn't healthcare better than no healthcare? I mean, just hear me out, you know? Anyway, I
Yeah, I
think
mean, like we've said it before too, and it's going to be a populist style candidate who's going to succeed with that sort of messaging. And it's because they speak to obvious truths. And whether or not they have solutions to that, like in the case of Donald Trump, he does not. But
right,
Bernie came out and said, I think healthcare costs are too high and I'm paying too much for insurance. And people were like, well, I don't even care what his political position is. That's true. That happened to me as well.
right,
And when you can get somebody who actually rallies around that, they're going to get people across both sides of the aisle, and of course all the independents would love it.
right. And we're
It's
seeing even without that, there is such a desperate want for accountability that what we saw in Texas in the special election and in
Yeah,
New Jersey, I mean, that social media is not real life. You know, where we are in a bit of an echo chamber on Blue Sky, we know that. That we know that X is a hellhole of, just grifters and bots. That's an echo chamber that is not representative of the makeup of the United States. And then Facebook is the same way.
yeah, they
So
all do.
so what the only thing that you can do is take a look at the actual elections, look at the swings from 2 years ago, and go, holy shit, public opinion is changing, and um, my only hope, like to go back to the beginning of our conversation and the beginning of this podcast, is that we are allowed to have free and fair elections in the next 8 months, and we see a massive change. But in the meantime, I hope to see more bipartisan efforts like Rokana and Massey, and working on these committees and hopefully holding some of these powerful people accountable. And once
Yeah,
I feel like once you get that guy, people love a good riches to rags story as much as they love a good rags to riches story. You know,
yeah.
so, whether you're on the right or the left, you see a powerful man taken down and held accountable.
Doesn't
That's,
even have to be a powerful man. It's just a person doing obviously morally wrong stuff, and you see them get their comeuppance. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
we watched, we probably shared this. I don't even remember, but there was that video of that guy at high school
yes, yeah,
protest. These are kids who are out there, like 15 years old kids, mainly girls, and he's arguing with them on the walkout because they were protesting ICE involvement somewhere, and he gets into a fist fight with one of them, and just gets his ass kicked. I mean, just obliterated. And I was happy at the end because he gets into his car and he drives away. He didn't. I
could
was
have
afraid in the last moments of that video. I was very afraid.
could have
But
could have gone to his truck to get something else, and it could have
yeah,
been
exactly, exactly.
right.
So, but I mean, you like seeing, what comes around. After seeing what goes around, you like to see what comes around. That's what I'll say about that.
Right. Okay. I mean, I think that's a great place to stop for today.
I think
Um,
we did it.
I think we did it. We got through. Hey, we got through today, and that's
Got
all.
through it.
Hey, anybody, you guys, you got through today. We wake up tomorrow and we continue to fight. It's literally all you can do.
And we covered all the news. There was no other news. It's amazing.
I got some bad news for you, friend. Just in the last 5 minutes, there's been so much more news that we could literally end
Probably,
the
yeah.
show and start a new show
And
with
start
it.
our next week's
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. All right. Thank you everybody for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will be back next week with an all new show with all new news. You're listening to the first and only Blue Sedition podcast. I'm Nate Brady.
I'm Mike Smith.
We'll see you next
Thanks,
time.
everybody.
Bye.